All right, the latest news break coming in right now. It seems big action has taken place against IndiGo. The government has curtailed IndiGo's 10% operations. Further action on IndiGo by MOCA to reduce cancellations order issued after MOCA Mohan Naidu and which is the Civil Aviation Minister Mohan Naidu and Samir Sinha's meeting with IndiGo CEO Pieter Elbers. IndiGo will continue to cover all its destinations. It will abide by 10% curtailment of operations ordered by MOCA. That's the latest that is coming in. My colleague Amit Bhardwaj joins us with the latest coming in from the Civil Aviation Ministry. In just about a minute, we're going to also cut across to what the Civil Aviation Minister said. Amit had spoken to the Civil Aviation Minister a short while ago. Let's quickly cut into what the Civil Aviation Minister told us, but we are going to cut across to Karishma Sudani. Karishma, as expected, the government had come under pressure for not taking adequate action against IndiGo. 10% curtailment of operations right now ordered by the government. What more can we expect?
Well, Preeti, a 10% cut primarily speaks a lot about a strict action that government has been wanting to take against the airline for the chaos that it landed itself up in last week because of its operational issues and not abiding by the FTDL norms. Now, this 10% is going to be heavy on their financials because IndiGo, which holds 65% market share in the country, has catered to more than 100 destinations. While they'll continue to cater the same destinations, they'll have to reduce their flight slots, which will likely be given to Air India, Akasa Air and SpiceJet. And a 10% loss, as small as it seems, is big for an airline like IndiGo, which was majorly operating under the monopoly scene of serving maximum flights to maximum destinations. This does not come as a good news, but it's also expected that the government may take strict action against the management. That's still possible because investigations are ongoing. A high-level committee by DGCA is also studying the case, and an internal committee has also been set up to understand what and how things went wrong within the airline.
All right, Karishma, appreciate you joining us with the very latest. So the Ministry of Civil Aviation has come out with not just guidelines now, but finally they've been under enough pressure of not taking adequate or tough action against IndiGo that practically enjoys a monopoly in Indian skies. 10% curtailment of operations. Those slots now will be awarded to other airlines like Air India, Akasa Air and SpiceJet. Will there be more action where IndiGo is concerned, where the management is concerned? That's something that would be keenly watched. All right, with that, let's cut across to the latest that is coming in from the Parliament. If yesterday were scenes where debate in Parliament took place, a 12-hour debate on Vande Mataram, today it was electoral reforms. Take a look.
Sujalam, Subhalam, Mataram, Vande Mataram.
After a caustic clash in Vande Mataram,
Congress ने वंदे मातरम पर समझौता कर लिया।
75 सालों से हमारा देश आजाद है, तो फिर आज इस बहस की क्या आवश्यकता है?
the battle for India's ballot was fought in the Lok Sabha. The Congress and Opposition India bloc launched a direct assault on the government over the special intensive revision and the broader electoral process.
All the institutions.
Leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi, questioned the very credibility of democratic safeguards, alleging a systematic attempt to hijack free and fair elections.
There is no bigger anti-national act that you can do than vote Chori. Because when you destroy the vote, you destroy the fabric of this country. You destroy modern India, you destroy the idea of India.
Please बैठिए.
Tempers flared when Rahul Gandhi invoked the RSS. The treasury benches erupted, disrupting proceedings and forcing repeated interventions from the chair.
मेरा एक सीमित अनुरोध है नेता प्रतिपक्ष से, आप विषय पर ही रहिए, हम लोग सब बैठे हैं, गृह मंत्री जी भी सुनने के लिए बैठे हैं।
Unfazed, Gandhi intensified his attack, demanding direct access to EVMs, stressing that transparency cannot be selective.
What is the architecture of the EVM? Give us access to the EVM. Let our experts go and see what is inside the EVM. Till today, we have not had access to the EVM. We are not shown the architecture of the EVM. We're not physically allowed to go and see an EVM.
दोनों की borrowing limits fix कर सकता है.
His charge resonated across the opposition, reviving calls for a return to paper ballots amid growing public distrust in EVMs.
Who has the source code of these EVMs? I did not receive an answer that day. I have not received an answer till now. 100% VVVIPAT की counting हो और या जो से बढ़िया solution है कि हमको पेपर बैलेट पे वापस चला जाना चाहिए.
सबसे बड़े सुधार की जरूरत यह है कि लोकतंत्र में फिर से भरोसा जगाया जाए. ईवीएम को हटाकर बैलेट से चुनाव कराए जाएं.
आए थे हरिभजन को ओटन लगे कपास.
The BJP struck back, dismissing the allegations as a political stunt. Gandhi family baiter Nishikant Dubey was fielded right after Rahul Gandhi's speech, accusing the opposition of targeting constitutional institutions and sowing doubt ahead of crucial elections.
ये संविधान का किताब जो है राहुल गांधी और उनकी पार्टी के लिए केवल एक उसी प्रकार की कहावत है. आप ये समझें ये 76 में स्वर्ण सिंह की कमेटी बनी 1975 में. उन्होंने सारे इंस्टीट्यूशन को खत्म कर दिया अध्यक्ष महोदय जिसके लिए आज फिर से लगे हुए हैं.
With key elections looming, the battle over India's voting process has become a full-blown political flashpoint. A fight for trust and credibility. What remains to be seen is what will be the political and electoral fallout. Will the opposition sustain the charge of vote chori? Importantly, will it register and find echo with the voters? Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, let's take the debate further. I'm joined right now by Mr. Yogendra Yadav, co-founder Swaraj India, and Mr. Rajat Sethi, political analyst. Both of you will be getting an uninterrupted 2 minutes time to put your point forward, and then we'll go to the other guests and come back to you for a rebuttal there. Mr. Yadav, to begin with you, earlier on, the sheer fact that EVMs were introduced on the same premise of the ballot papers being criticized in the time of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. The question also, Yogendra Yadav ji, is today that is the SIR a problem? Is the voter roll a problem? Is the EVM a problem? Because it seems today the messaging from the opposition is that everything is a problem.
Indeed, so much is the problem. Electoral reform is a bit of a euphemism because what we are dealing today is electoral deform and attempt to curb it. We have three levels of reforms. One is the issue related with vote chori, which is about voter list manipulations, which is about EVM, which is about the conduct of local officials, which is about bribery at the time of elections, and so on and so forth. That's only one level. At the second level is what is all over the world called abusive constitutionalism, which is use of law in order to institutionalize this chori, which is dakati. To my mind, SIR, one nation, one election, and delimitation of the kind that is being proposed, we believe, would be in that category. And the third level is capture of the institution, the election commission itself, which is meant to address all these things. So what we have today is that the whole country is moving towards a system in which we would have a semblance of elections, the formality of election, the formality of competitiveness, while for all practical purposes, it's a very uneven playing ground. Someone is being asked to run on a flat surface. The other party, the opposition, is asked to climb uphill, and both of them are being given 100 meters to climb. And then someone would say, all right, the result is there. Someone has run it fast. This is a completely uneven playing ground which is being created in a way which is worse than ever before in the history of this country. Therefore, not only the issues that you mentioned, much more is the problem. And in a sense, it's unfair to ask which one of them is a problem. Of course, all of them are a problem, and all of them put together today are placing Indian electoral system in a loss of credibility like never before.
Mr. Yadav, I'll come back to you for your 2 minutes. I want to bring in Rajat Sethi. Rajat Sethi, the charge today is that there is a slow institutionalization of a system. You know, it can be the VVPAT, it can be the EVMs, and then it was the SIR, then it would be delimitation, then it's one nation, one election, that there's a concerted move towards a semblance of democracy, which is in effect compromised.
Preeti ji, good evening. This continues to be a very boring, predictable rant or a loser's lament. All we are hearing is platitudes and euphemisms around trying to give a smoke screen to the core cause. The main cause where the previous speaker was highlighting that everything is wrong except the opposition. If this is the diagnosis that the opposition has of everything that is going on currently, this just shows that they live on a parallel planet. They have zero connect with the public. They have zero understanding of what the genuine needs of the public are, and they have completely crippled what an opposition should look like. Ideally, they should be picking up issues on the floor of the parliament which matter to the public, if they have any evidence. And it therefore has to be a legal fight, which you have to fight it out in various platforms. And if you deem fit, and there are genuine, undeniable evidences, you should have brought forward even on the floor of the parliament. But so far, we've seen repeatedly what has changed when this hydrogen bomb was dropped by Rahul Gandhi till today. The only event that has happened in the middle is that they have badly lost the Bihar election. Nothing on the ground reality has changed. Windows of opportunities that existed even after Bihar election to file complaints against any discrepancy that they saw in the electoral process have all lapsed. Not a single complaint has been put forth by them. You don't want to follow the due processes of law, but just like a prince, you want everything to fall in place and surround themselves with set of advisors like Yogendra Yadav ji, who try to take them onto Mars, where a different set of politics operate. That is the challenge. The challenge right now is that you've stopped hearing to the public and the public's genuine grievances. And you will continue to lament and continue wasting time, not just of the opposition space, but also of the common public. Carry on with it.
All right, I'm going to give both our panelists 2 minutes each. Yogendra Yadav ji, I want to bring you back into this conversation because there is no redressal with what we have seen. There are charges after charges that the opposition has made. And Yogendra ji, it also comes with the fact that while you will have the Congress criticize the Bihar election, call the Bihar election rigged, it will also celebrate the win of a by-election in Jubilee Hills. So there is a fair amount of confusion in the voters today that how is one election fair at the cost of the other, which is unfair. So either then the opposition goes ahead and says, we don't believe in the election system. We will not participate in an election which we think is fixed.
That precisely is the dilemma in competitive authoritarian states. I'm telling you, Preeti, this is a global trend now. India is just one of the examples of what is happening here. The basic idea is that you turn the electoral playing ground so uneven that while the chances of the opposition winning are not exactly zero, but they are so slim that you can constantly put them on the wrong track. The funny thing is that and then the interesting thing about this is that you cite the very results of the system as a proof of your popularity, which itself is under question. So how can you keep citing, oh, we win election, oh, we win election? But that's precisely what is being questioned. How can that be a proof of what is being argued? My friend wants to know, where is the proof? I'll pick two things that Akhilesh, because he probably wants me to speak only about Rahul Gandhi. He has some obsession with those things. I'll bring two things about what Akhilesh Yadav said today. He mentioned Mau. What has happened in Mau? And there is complete evidence. He has produced it. I have personally checked that evidence. Before SIR began, in the 2 months prior to SIR, 20,000 names were removed of people of one kind of community. The result is that in SIR, even enumeration forms will not be given in those houses. They are completely thrown out. Is that not an evidence? I'll give Kundarki. Kundarki is a place in Moradabad where by-elections were held after the elections that were held, after the Lok Sabha election. Suddenly, and there is absolutely documented proof, statistically checked by econometricians. I'm serious about it. Some of the best minds in the country have checked that evidence, which shows that suddenly in those booths, Kundarki is a constituency that Samajwadi Party has always won.
Okay.
Suddenly, after the Lok Sabha election, all the booths with Muslims there, the voter list is prone.
Okay, so your time is up. I'm
goes
giving you 10
down,
seconds
and
extra, which I'll
Samajwadi
allow Rajat
Party
as well, because you need
loses
to
that
complete
by
your point.
1 lakh vote. Is that
Okay.
not an evidence?
I want to get in Rajat. Rajat, the fact is the opposition pan party, it's not just one particular Congress, it's Samajwadi Party, it is the TMC, who've raised certain issues which the credibility of those will only be judged once there is a verification and an investigation. Do you think that at least now there has to be some meeting ground? If these one after the other, for a fair amount of time, the opposition is raising this issue, something needs to be done about it instead of just brushing it aside and saying, they're sour losers.
So, Preeti ji, there are institutional checks and balances that exist. There are institutions to supervise and do judicial reviews around any decisions of executive nature or otherwise anybody is taking in the country. But the problem is these so-called econometricians who, fortunately for this country, you cannot land up in a situation where you are the judge, jury, and executioner. That is good for us. Because, otherwise, on a daily basis, verdicts on our democracy will be issued by individuals like Shri Yogendra Yadav ji. The problem here is that they don't want to knock the doors of the courts, which they, by the way, they have very special access to. They can actually wake up the courts in the middle of the night also, and they will get a due hearing. But they don't have the necessary evidences so far to either put it on public platforms or to take it to the court. If you genuinely feel there are grievances, there are ways to do it, but they want to circumvent all of that and do drama and theatrics around it. When you say and you present an example of a constituency where Samajwadi Party has never lost and is losing the election, you need to go back to the drawing board. Try to understand why is public not voting for you. Minus that main question, they will address everything else around it. This is a simple case of beating around the bush. They want to carry on with it. Good luck with it. It is really unfortunate for the country because you do not have a responsible opposition. In place of a responsible, connected opposition, you are filled with people who have zero connect, who can't win a single election in this country. And somehow they are calling on to the verdict on such a thing like, whether our democracy is failing or not. That is an unfortunate scenario. I still believe that if genuine people, occupy opposition chairs, they'll understand where the lacuna is. By the way, a lot of the Congress party workers and the Akhilesh Yadav's workers are understanding where the gap is. Look at how hard Akhilesh Yadav's party, Samajwadi Party, is working in tandem with the same SIR, setting up booths after booths onto the villages and urban areas to ensure that their voters are getting registered. That is the response that you need to have, not to be anarchist. If you want to carry on your anarchy attitude and hope and pray that Nepal will happen or a Bangladesh will happen, now let me tell you, this country has seen all kinds of
I'm going to just turn. I appreciate both you gentlemen for joining us. Thank you. I'm going to turn to a political debate, and we're going to take the conversation further in the political domain. We are joined by two spokespersons, Adil Singh Boparai, National Spokesperson, Congress, Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party. Adil, to begin with you, you just heard some of the panelists earlier. We've moved to a political debate there. But the question that I had asked, it is a dichotomy, Adil. The charge is that there is a semblance of a democracy that seemingly functions, which is hollow, where elections are rigged one after the other. That is what I would think I can sum up with what we heard in Parliament from your leader, Rahul Gandhi. You had an Akhilesh Yadav as well, or an Manish Tiwari from your side. The fact is, Adil, then, in that scenario, this is what the opposition really believes, that the elections are rigged. We've come after Bihar. Bihar is, as per the opposition, a rigged election. It's a stolen election. But the seat of Jubilee Hills in Hyderabad in by-elections with the Congress one is not rigged. You won it on your own steam. You've celebrated it. How do the twain meet, Adil? Either have the gumption and say, we don't believe in this electoral system. We will boycott the elections. Either say that, Or if it is this or that, how does it even match?
Preeti, let's just step back for a moment and look at this entire issue objectively, minus and dehorse the political din. Point number one, why should the government, or for that matter, the Election Commission of India, be hesitant to share machine-readable electoral data which would be available to all political parties, including the Congress and the BJP? What could be a possible hesitation to share that? Point number one. Point number two, when the Supreme Court says that the third person of the selection panel should be the Chief Justice of India, an independent person, why does the Parliament, and particularly the government of the day, ramrod a bill bringing in the Home Minister as the veto for the purposes of selecting the chairperson and the election commissioners? Point number two. Point number three, what is it that the government is trying to hide when you provide for a legal statutory stipulation that the CCTV footages of every booth should be deleted after 45 days? Point number four, and this is very, very critical. Why is it that the government is shying away from transparency? Let's move away from tutu meme for a moment. Democracy is always an evolving process. The endeavor is to improve systems. Why is it that the BJP, with all its indignation and anxiety, trying to bulldoze legitimate demands of the opposition? And now coming to specifics, despite the SIR, you had lakhs of duplication of photographs in the Bihar voter lists. So what is the sum substance and the deduction from the so-called SIR? Number two, how can thousands and lakhs of people be registered at house number 0? This is beyond my understanding. This is honestly beyond my understanding, that how can the Election Commission of India justify...
Okay. Adil, your 2 minutes are up. I'll circle back to you. I'm going to bring in Sanju Verma into this conversation. Sanju Verma, it's a charge which, no matter how much, the government might seem to suggest that it has no basis, but it is a charge which continues and it stays election after election from the opposition. They have strong issues with the electoral process right now. Is it time now, Sanju Verma, for once and for all, to have a court-monitored probe, have an investigation?
Preeti, let me address each of the concerns by the Congress party. First and foremost, machine-readable voter list. There is a judgment by the Supreme Court in 2019 in the case of Kamal Nath versus the Election Commission. And the Supreme Court, it said that machine-readable voter list tantamounts to it being edited, and there are possibilities of misuse and compromising voter privacy, and hence machine-readable voter list is not, viable. This is the Supreme Court, not BJP. So much in so many words in 2019. The second, the Election Commission, Chief Election Commissioner should be seated committee to have CJI. Now, I want to say currently the CEC, Chief Election Commissioner, is appointed by the President but selected by a 3-member committee with the Prime Minister as the chairperson. There is leader of the opposition and a youth cabinet minister. But for the next time under government, it was only the Prime Minister who used to pick and choose the CEC. The leader of opposition never had that privilege. T.S. Krishnamurthy became the CEC in Feb 2004, picked by Manmohan Singh. B.B. Tandon in May 2005 picked Manmohan Singh. M. Gawaspi in June 2006 became CEC, picked by Manmohan Singh. S.Y. Qureshi became the CEC on 30th July 2010, picked by Manmohan Singh. V.S. Sampath became the CEC on 11th June 2012, picked by Manmohan Singh. And more importantly, on 24th April 2009, Rahul Gandhi picked a man called Naveen Chawla. Rahul Gandhi never held a constitutional position. Matlab, aap to sab sahi hai. It has always been the Prime Minister of the day picking the Election Commission. Hum to keh rahe hain, leader of the opposition will now also say, I say we are authoritarian. Come, get a life. Don't be sore losers.
Ma'am, your time is up. Your time is up. I'd suggest you correct your audio link. There's a problem with your audio. We'll circle back to you for your final 2 minutes, and I want to bring in Adil back into this conversation. Adil, you know, today the issue, the point that there is an issue with the SIR, as per the opposition says, is now since the SIR started. You've made allegations of vote chori, how elections of Haryana, Maharashtra were stolen. You've said the same thing about Bihar. You've also now, this time around in Parliament, circled back to a problem with the EVMs. EVMs were actually introduced with this basic problem where people didn't trust ballot papers, the then opposition in the time of Rajiv Gandhi itself, Adil.
Preeti, you have to understand how autocracies and oligarchies work. It is not just a mere capture of the Election Commission of India. There is a wholesale lock, stock and barrel capture of all institutions which constitute a bulwark or which is in a position to question the government. This includes the investigating agencies, this includes the executive, this includes the ECI, and to a great extent, this includes the media. So there is a complete or a near total capture of institutions. This is how it functions, number one. Number two, please consider this for a moment. You cannot run this country by looking at the rare side. If there was a certain set of practices in 1960 where the ECI was selected in a certain manner, it does not mean that we should not improve in 2010 or 2025. Why should the government oppose having the Chief Justice of India as the third party or the third person to select the election commissioners? It is far too important just to be left. Tomorrow, BJP will not be in power. Tomorrow, we will be in power, or vice versa. Why should the government be hesitant to have a level playing field? Number three, it is the arrogance of this government and the arrogance which was on display by the BJP spokesperson right before me. This arrogance is running this country down to the ground. The BJP is interested in discussing the 18th century, the 17th century, and the 16th century, but they're not interested in discussing unemployment. They're not interested in discussing that legal citizens, Indian citizens, are being disenfranchised. They're not interested in discussing issues which we are grappling today in 2025. And finally, Preeti, let me say this with a sense of urgency and responsibility. If we have to take this country further, if we have to strengthen institutions, then we require bipartisanship. And for that, we must...
All right, Adil, your time is up. Okay, quick 2 minutes, Sanju Verma, that's all that we have the time for now. Go ahead, final concluding statement.
Preeti, I want to read out what Justice Vikram Nath said November 2024 while listening to criticism on EVMs by the opposition, particularly a debilitated leader like Rahul Gandhi. EVMs are tampered when you lose and fine if you win. Let us be very clear, EVMs are safe, secure, user-friendly. By doubt electoral process, you cannot justify an attitude where speculation override the due process of action. So the Supreme Court has called out the of Rahul Gandhi. I don't need to say more, but I'm saying, when were elections covered? When a man called T.N. Seshan, who was the cabinet secretary under Rajiv Gandhi, actually became the chief election commissioner and was then given the Raman Magsaysay Award. When were elections tampered? When a man called M.S. Gill became the chief election commissioner between 1996 and 2001, became the union sports minister under the Congress government in 2006, and guess what, Preeti? He was awarded the Padma Vibhushan. And elections were tampered when a man called Naveen Chawla, handpicked by Sonia Gandhi, was given Italy's award, the Mazzini Award, and was made the national icon of the year. Yes, that is the award he got. But I want to tell, the Congress spokesperson, for the first time, EVMs were used in 1998 state elections in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Delhi. Congress won all three, BJP lost all the three. We did not. First time EVMs were used in general elections in 2004 and 2009, BJP lost. Congress won. Some Verma or any BJP leader, I was not in there, but nobody played foil sport. And let me do one thing, if there is anybody who's undermining democracy, if there's anyone who's enjoying all sports, to be member of parliament, the expense taxpayers, and still still bring down institutions. It's an anti-national called Rahul Gandhi.
All right, ma'am, your time is up. Ma'am, your time is up. You know, like I said, your memory is rich, but also it was your leader, Mr. L.K. Advani, in 2009 who wanted ballot papers back because he didn't trust the EVMs. But we're going to leave it at that. On that note, we're going to leave it at that. Thank you, both of you, for joining us.
2 days after a deadly fire claimed 25 lives at Birch by Romeo Lane in Goa's Arpora, government begins crackdown on restaurants not complying with norms. On the orders of Chief Minister Pramod Sawant, the authorities have demolished the nightclub, which was set up in violation of many flouted norms.
This is a completely illegal structure. There is no permit, there is no license, no permit to run a restaurant, no permit to run a shack, no permit to run a bar over here. This is a completely illegal club. Another club of Luthra brothers, and completely illegal. 25 people died there, and only after that the Goa government woke up and they sealed this property and along with other 3 properties belonging to the Luthra brothers.
While 25 people fought for their lives in the blaze at the Birch in Arpora, the owners, Saurabh Luthra and Gaurav Luthra, were busy packing their bags to quietly slip out of the country. Just hours after firefighters managed to control the inferno, the Luthra brothers were comfortably seated on a 5:30 am IndiGo flight to Phuket, leaving behind the smoke, the bodies and the questions they did not want to face. As the probe picks up speed, the police are unearthing lapses one after another. Narrow entry exits, illegal construction, no safety fire clearances and negligence, non-functional fire detection and suppression systems, combustible interiors and decor, and no escape routes or ventilation in the lower levels are just a few of the violations. 5 people have been arrested so far, but the ones who should be answering first are in hiding abroad. This even as they find time to post social media messages offering condolences. A Delhi police team visited the Luthra residence in the national capital, but found it deserted.
The illegal constructed part was on the land belonging to Goa government. And for good 5 years, this club was functioning, catering to customers. Who was protecting the Luthra brothers? Why no immediate action was taken? How illegal construction was allowed? How illegal activities without any permits, without any licenses, without any approvals, how were these clubs functioning? That is the question over here. With camera person Siddesh and Ritesh Desai, this is Devesh Singh in Goa for India Today.
My colleague Devesh joins us right now from Vagator. Devesh, you've been tracking the fallout of the fire, the tragedy of the fire very closely. Till now, those arrested are low-hanging fruit. The way this club was functioning without any licenses, with impunity, not just one, but a second property as well. Where is the DM? Where is the local MLA? Who's protecting the Luthra brothers? Any action been taken on that account?
Well, right, Preeti. That is the question that arises over here. Who was protecting Luthra brothers? How were they able to run 5 such properties in Goa without a trade license, without permits, without approvals, violating the CRZ norms, coastal regulatory norms, violating pollution norms? There's no fire safety, and in fact, at the club where the unfortunate incident happened, the basement was a trap. It had no ventilation, it had no exits, it had just one entry and exit point which led to the first floor where the performance was happening, and on the lower basement there was changing room, there was kitchen and there was workers area. That is where 23 people suffocated to death while 2 were charged to death on the upper floor. These 25 people died because of sheer negligence and because the Luthra brothers endangered life and personal safety of everyone visiting the club. Not just the staffers, but even the patrons, even the customers. Over 200 people were present there. And just behind me, you can see that this is the demolished part of Romeo Lane at Vagator. We are present here.
And it's just
This
not
was
one particular resort which the Luthras own. There are multiple resorts that are functioning with impunity without any licenses. I want to cut across to our guests this evening, Yashovardhan Azad, former IPS officer, Akash Madgavkar, VP North Goa Travel and Tourism Association of Goa, and Dr. Kiran Bedi, who's joining us. Dr. Kiran Bedi, you know, usually it's just the low-hanging fruit. But the larger question, who is protecting the Luthras? The sheer fact they could leave so easily on a flight outbound to Phuket, Thailand at 5 a.m. in the morning. Why weren't any checks in order?
I think they've been exceedingly smart because they left overnight. They knew what was coming. So obviously, what they were doing very smartly, they've done it further smartly by fleeing away at the earliest, midnight. So I think they were very smart. That's what happened because they knew otherwise it was coming.
Who takes responsibility, Dr. Kiran Bedi, because this is the low-hanging fruit in terms of the arrests that have taken place. Even the Luthras, where they need to be brought back, there's a blue-collar notice against them. But the larger question, who takes responsibility? Who is in collusion? Who is trying to protect the Luthras? How is it that these clubs were functioning without any license on government land, illegally at that?
Preeti, it has to be the bigger hand. It is finally the hand that governs. And the local governance it cannot be without that local hand. And the local hand will clear only in seeing what is in it for him or her. We do not. And the local MLA is bound to be a beneficiary. Otherwise, the local MLA can go and agitate against it and say, ye nahi hone dena maine. मुझे बता दीजिए कितने लोकल एमएलएज होते हैं ऐसी गलत जगह पर जाकर कहते हैं मैंने नहीं होने देना मैं बैठा हूं बाहर I tell you the day the local MLAs start taking these kind of corrective measures and take charge, I think India will not change. We need to now go after the local MLA and the local district magistrate. We need to find these two people. Once they do that, one is professionally responsible, the other is electorally responsible. Don't go after these small fries. These small fries are just surviving, living hand to mouth, or unless, of course, making a lot of money.
Appreciate you joining us, Dr. Bedi. Thank you there. Because Yashovardhan Azad, the corrupt collusion is now blatantly a display. How is this restaurant? There's not just one. There are multiple restaurants owned by the Luthras itself. On the other hand, there are multiple other clubs that have been found where they are functioning with abject impunity, without any clearances, on government land, without licenses.
You're absolutely right. I've been going to Goa, and this is the story of almost most of the restaurants in Goa who sort of have this jugaad theory. Wherever they have a capacity of 50, there'll be 500 people there. But there's a serious issue here. Even the panchayat, it's a very strange phenomena, Preeti, that even for a house construction, residence house construction, is the panchayat which gives license. Amazing. These are all this new fang democracy which is coming to the roots. And of course, it's with major consideration that you get it. Even the panchayat was protesting. So you're absolutely right that he has his hands right up at the top, and the top ones are supporting. This kind of a support has to be political. It has to be, that is why it filters through the district magistrate. And about their going out, my heart goes out to two kinds of people. One who died in the basement, who were, ordinary laborers from different states who don't have GPF, who don't have any security, and also to those small timers who have been arrested for no reason. Tell me, how does a gatekeeper know about violation of license or a general chota mota manager? General manager, the CEO, yes, and the Luthra brothers. So, as you said, the low-hanging fruit, it doesn't serve the purpose at all. The question is that in Goa, even the foreign tourists are running away because this is the kind of thing, the security, the safety is now absolutely gone. And in North Goa, it has become a hotbed of corruption and all kinds of wrong businesses.
No, the fact is it's a corrupt collusion of conspiracy, all of that brought together, and it seems, Mr. Madgaonkar, that everyone has their hand in the till. Because how can these clubs be allowed to function without any licenses at all? It's just, it's mind-boggling.
This has been just a collective failure on all those concerned. A deep introspection has to be done to prevent such incidents in the future. Yes, various departments are involved, absolutely. The basic requirement here is that government officials should be allowed to do their jobs according to the rules without any political interference. If that was done, I'm sure such incidences wouldn't have been done, but there's clear political interference, maybe at state level, and from what we are hearing here in Goa, probably from a central level, since the owners of this club are from Delhi and North India. There's a lot. Are
you alluding that there is interference, political interference at a central level? That's a big charge, Mr. Madgaonkar.
It could be, definitely, because otherwise government officials, if they are allowed to do their job, this wouldn't happen. Even if you go to see, a major clampdown has to be done on illegal businesses. There are a lot of fly-by-night operators who have come into Goa post-COVID, which, associations like the TTAG have pointed out to the government. The government is taking action, but, it's been rather slow and, it's more reactive rather than proactive. Like, now something has happened. Maybe, because of this incident, there'll be an audit done, which came out in the news today, and action will be taken. But we should rather be proactive than reactive,
So you're saying everybody has their hand in the till? This could go all the way to a central leader in Delhi, and that's why there is collusion, is what you're indicating.
As you can see, it's multiple departments. It's a collective
multiple
failure.
departments. It's a grave charge. Yashwardhan Azad, you wanted to come in very quickly, sir?
You can't throw your hands up by saying the center is involved and this is involved. If a district magistrate doesn't allow a structure like this, who's going to tell him? Chief Minister will tell him, no, please allow this structure. No, it doesn't come like that.
True.
And it is a one city state. There are thousands and there are so many officers, the IAS officers and IPS officers. You think this is not noticed? You think the Chief Minister does not notice all this? It's a one city state. Even if one minister is allocated a particular area, one district, they can do it in 30 days. It's a hotbed of corruption. It's a lack of political commitment. And I tell you, it's called failing the people.
Well, it's a corrupt conspiracy of collusion. That's very clear. I appreciate both you gentlemen for joining us. We're going to keep a keen eye on all developments of this story. We're not going to let it go. Thank you for watching. Up next.